Wayde Van Niekerk. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thanks, in yourself. Thanks for having me.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
Firstly, there in that background, that Salah shirt. We got to say congratulations. 30 years later, you've got the league in the bag, as much as the United supporters don't want to talk about it, ne?
I'm glad that we're talking about it.
and that's the last we're going to talk about it as well. We move on.
In the front, it's going to be goal for South Africa. 43-47. A stunning performance from Van Niekerk.
This is Wayde Van Niekerk. You've probably heard of him before. As the current world record holder and the reigning Olympic champion in the 400 meters, he's widely regarded as one of the all-time greats of sprinting. And the moment you see him run, you get it. He's smooth, he's powerful, and he makes running incredibly quick times look like a walk in the park. Now, you might be thinking, Van Niekerk's injury back in 2017 ruined his career. But you're only partially correct. Had he not gotten injured, my guess is that he would have continued his 400-meter domination throughout both the 2018 and 2019 seasons. Instead, he missed out on both seasons due to a torn ACL. However, earlier this year, he returned to the track with a solid 100 and 200-meter double in the same event. For the 200, he threw down a solid time of 20.31 seconds, and for the 1, he ran a surprisingly fast time of 10.10 seconds.
Let's just go back to just prior to lockdown. You had come back, you won that race in Bloemfontein. At that point, and athletes who recover from surgery, making comeback from major surgery, will always say, hey, I'm starting to trust that body part. I'm starting to trust that knee. Where were you at back then in terms of that trust relationship between you and that knee?
That's an interesting question. I haven't actually thought of it that way. For me, it was more about I've come to a point where I just need to accept my circumstances and use my physical as it presents itself. I've come to a point now where I'm ready to be used. Obviously, as you know, I'm a very spiritual person, firm believer in the Lord and so on. So I'm ready to be used in whatever way God wants to use me. You know what I mean? So if I am about to enter a race with the world's pain, I'm going to go out and give it my best, because I don't know what awaits me. I don't know what would happen after the finish line. I mean, it's the exact same testimony that I've experienced during Rio. As you said, I was somewhat strapped up at the finals and in quite a bit of tears before the finals, because I sat with a bit of a back issue and a bit of hamstring niggles that was bothering me during the heats and the semis, and I feel like I have to repeat that again.
Today I'ma wake up a new man, driving a new road, develop a new plan. I'll never be blue, man, whatever the view, man. Go to a
But now, brother man, you and I, we both believe in that one living God, and we have conversations with the man, and he talks back to us. When you have been having those conversations in relation to, hey, groot meneer, where's my body at? What is that living God telling Wayde Van Niekerk about what's going on in the body?
That Sub43 is the only way we're going.
He sat down with the Olympic Network and made some pretty bold statements about his future. He said that Sub43 is definitely where I want to go for the 400 meters. I can go way better than what I've done in the 100 and the 200. That's where my mind was before the injury, and that's where my mind is at for the future. If I don't go Sub43, that means I am not growing. There's no other goal than the Sub43 for myself right now. That's what I'm working for, and that's where I want to be.
I've mentally signed that contract. I'm in agreement with God that that's where I'm going. It's just about me now loving it, committing to it, and trusting that God will guide me into the right directions and into the right areas and spaces. I guess that's the same reason why I'm not taking this lockdown as a negative. I'm taking it as time that needs to be invested in me, and I'm trying my best not to take this time for granted and not making it go to waste. It is somewhat frustrating because the lockdown did bring somewhat of a shutdown physically as well, because I was on the track on a daily, pushing myself to on a daily way, doing the same or pushing my body to the same limits and efforts. At home, you probably most likely won't be able to do that. And so it's somewhat a restart now again, which does get a bit irritating or frustrating. I mean, running a 10-1 and a 20.3, I was in the mix with the best in SA. So it showed me that I've got that speed again, and I've got somewhat of the strength back that I want, and it gave me a lot of confidence to continue building. But I guess it was enough that I needed for me to use as motivation now during this time. And the hunger is on another level right now.
You must be the hungriest athlete anywhere in the world right now because of what you've come from. You're not able to be on the track. From the discussions that I've had with other athletes on this Olympics on lockdown session, all of them are saying, you know what, all I can do is work on that core, things that I normally overlook in my normal training. And trainers are saying that that's going to put me in the best position possible once we can get back on the track. Is it pretty much the same philosophy for you?
I guess with the injury, I've got a few more but extra things that I need to focus on. I obviously don't want my quad to totally, and my knee and my all the muscles around it to totally switch off during this time. So I had to continuously, like a prehab, somewhat of a prehab setup that I had to have here, and I guess on that as well, I've been quite privileged. Just before the lockdown, I somewhat finished my gym at home, so I have quite nice equipment and treadmills and everything here at home, so I could touch base on basically most areas that needs to be conditioned, but it's not the same. It's not the same as working on the track. It's not the same as pushing my body to the levels, to the limits that I can on the track. I feel like the track makes the difference for me as an athlete. As you can see, I'm not physically the stockiest guy out there on the track, but when it comes to the gun going, I'm amongst the best in the world. So being on the track is my strength.
Athletics South Africa obviously put out the statement to say that from their protocols, no national competition, no international competition. This is under lockdown level 3. When you saw that news, what was your reaction?
This is the first time I heard about it. I've been focused on me. I've been focused on what needs to be done to make sure that Wayde is healthy, Wayde is strong, Wayde is good when it's time to get back on the track. I've distanced myself from, I guess, that type of news now that you've mentioned it. My agent and my coach has been speaking about when and what they want from me race-wise, but I've been focused on what work needs to be done, where I need to improve myself, what is physically needed to come back and break that record.
World Athletics, on the other hand, they've got a 22-page protocol out. They've got clear guidelines for competition. They're looking at a shortened season between August and October this year, obviously with those precautions that are in place. And there's every likelihood that Diamond League obviously will return in that time. You reckon there's given what's happened with COVID, you reckon that's a good idea?
It's difficult, to be honest with you. I mean, if I'm talking as a fan, I obviously wanted to get back. Look at how much we're enjoying watching football again. How excited I was when the Formula 1 practice started today. I mean, my reality is I'm one of them. You know what I mean? So I have to set my mind on what needs to be done so that I stay healthy and I stay out of danger to be able to perform and to make sure that the job is done when I get back on the track. Obviously, I have been highlighted more or less the time and area that there would be competitions and so on. I've been focusing on just making sure that I'm healthy for that. And obviously we're going to start gradually again, slowly but surely building up into, we'll see when we'll do diamond leagues, because right now it's not a compulsory. And we all, I mean, as we know how things are going in America as well, we don't know if they'll be able to compete against us or if they'll be able to travel. I mean, I don't even know if we'll be able to travel the way we want to travel. So as long as my team, I guess, has a good plan that will look after us, that will keep us safe and healthy and out of danger, then I have to do the job that I need to do. I mean, every other sportsman is doing their job. So I need to obviously stay professional and stay focused on what is expected of me. But it is a scary thought.
Sure.
I mean, we've been in lockdown for the last few years now. I mean, months now, where
it feels like years, ne?
Yeah, where we could avoid, but now it's coming to a point where I guess you have to make it a norm now to sanitize and to mask up and to social distance and just change your entire mentality and habits so that you stay safe during this time. And if track needs to resume or continue and that opportunity comes again, but I mean, yeah, I wish this thing can stop now so we can get back to
life. And every athlete that I've spoken to, they've got with their managers, their team, a plan in terms of how to taper off correctly if the Olympics come up in June of next year. What's the Wayde plan with everything that's happening?
Look, I need race time. That's right. I feel like that's the only way, and like we spoke earlier as well, I'd like to say yes, I'll be ready, no, I won't be ready, but the fact of the matter is I need race time. And I think the more race time I get, the more I'll be able to express myself the way I want to, speaking to God and communicating with God and so on. I feel like that's the only way I'll get peace in my heart. I'll be able to say, or I'll be able to defend myself against the doubts and the fears that I have in my mind. The only way that will soothe or get better is when I get back on the track.
Those doubts and the demons that you raise now, are those Wayde's doubts and demons, or I don't know, are those what you've seen out in the world after the injury?
I think, look, I'm my worst critic. I don't take any I don't take myself lightly when it comes to being competitive. I give myself probably the toughest time ever. So it is a lot to do with me. It has a lot to do with breaking my own personal mental boundaries. Because if I tell someone now I want to go for 42, they'll believe me. But the reality to me is are you on that as well? You know what I mean? There's days where I'm on it. There's days where I'm like, am I really, or am I lying to myself? You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I said as well, it's that process. It's that process of exposing my body, exposing my mental, it's exposing my spiritual to those challenges that comes with it. That things that causes me to go in or out of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? So it's really just about me pushing myself out of that comfort zone to make whatever doubts and fears a norm in my life, so that it becomes something that doesn't or is not seen as a negative, but is seen as a motivation, or seen as a extra push or reason to work even harder.
All right. As we begin to wrap up, you've become sort of an older brother to many of the athletes because of your feats on the track. and once again, I reflect on the conversations that we've had with athletes. The elites, you guys are cool. Sponsors are sorting you out. You can live, you can train to the best of your ability. You can create those training spaces in your homes. For those athletes who are still sort of scratching at that level, just a word from Wayde Van Niekerk in terms of keeping at it, whatever that means in their individual spaces, because it must be tough for the majority of South African athletes right now.
We're in a stage now where people are struggling. People are surviving. They're just trying to survive. So be able to build that spiritual foundation now, which I feel is very important for a holistic picture after this entire pandemic. I mean, if we invest in something as simple as feeding someone. I mean, I'm sitting here with a blanket around me. Some people don't have it during this cold time. So it's really time for us to consider the people around us now, especially during this pandemic, to see where we can help. Because I mean, this is a foundation that's going to make you so strong, and it's going to make you appreciate where you are as an athlete when it comes time to get back to life as we know it, and to get back to the goals and the dreams that we've set for ourselves. If we can invest in someone else and expose ourselves to that raw like struggle of life, when you come to the track, it will be a breeze to just say, I'm gifted, I'm talented, the gun goes, I can run people away. That's God-given. That's like a blessing coming freely to you.
Champion of the world record holder, champion of the English Premier League, Wayde Van Niekerk, thank you very much for your time. And I can sense that hunger, but I think South Africans will be happy that the knee's good, you look good, you just need to get on the track now, yeah?
Exactly. I just need to shake off all the dusty areas and the rusty areas and just get back to the track. I'm really looking forward to get back on the track and just exposing myself to what's needed.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on Olympics on Lockdown.